05.17 hours, Central Strait of Hormuz. Dawn light lies flat across the water, rotor wash drifting across the deck of USS Abraham Lincoln as yellow shirt crews guide aircraft in practiced silence beneath a hardening sky. Then the first fire control radar spike rips through the calm. The E-2D Hawkeye sees it first. 10 fast movers lifting west of Bandar Abbas, climbing through 14,000 feet before splitting into 2 attack elements. Espy-1 arrays aboard the screen ships confirm the picture 3 seconds later. Range 96 nautical miles, speed 0.88 Mach and increasing. Electronic signatures resolve almost immediately. 4 F-4E Phantom IIs, 4 F-14A Tomcats, 2 MiG-29A escorts. The Combat Information Center tightens. The Tactical Action Officer orders full air defense posture. Link 16 floods every console. The stakes become obvious in under 10 seconds. A coordinated anti-ship run inside one of the most compressed maritime choke points on Earth. No ambiguity, no warning shot. A live strike package is coming. At 05:18 hours, the carrier strike group transitions from transit posture to layered combat geometry. USS Abraham Lincoln turns 22 degrees into the wind. 2 FA-18E Super Hornets already airborne on combat air patrol are pushed forward to intercept. Call sign Viper 1 and Viper 2. Altitude 24,000 feet. Fuel state sufficient for one aggressive engagement. Behind them, an EA-18G Growler begins electronic attack setup, standoff jamming against Iranian fire control frequencies and data link bands. At 05:19 hours, destroyers on the outer screen widen their engagement arcs. One Arleigh Burke-class ship illuminates the northern sector. Another shifts south to protect the carrier's vulnerable beam aspect. Standard missile launch cells come alive below deck. Ready lights change across the vertical launch system. In the hangar bay, ordnance teams sprint beneath the steel maze. On the flight deck, another 4 Super Hornets are brought to catapult position. AAM-120D, AAM-9X, external tanks, mixed anti-radiation loadout for the inevitable counterstrike. At 05:20 hours, the Iranian package descends. The F-4s drop to sea-skimming ingress. The F-14s remain higher. Battle management, decoying, possible long-range missile queuing. The MiG-29s hold back, offset east, attempting to pin the American cap and force a split. The Hawkeye controller reads the geometry plainly, high-low compression attack, saturation by axis, probable missile release inside 45 nautical miles. At 05:21 hours, Viper 1 commits. 2 AIM-120Ds come off the rails, missiles away. Time to intercept, 38 seconds. The Growler starts its work. Iranian radar returns jitter, wobble, fragment. 1 MiG breaks hard left. Too late. The first AMRAAM detonates just ahead of the cockpit. The aircraft becomes a rolling orange fracture. The second missile clips a Tomcat at the wing root. Fuel ignites instantly. Debris falls in a widening spiral toward the gray water. The surviving Iranian formation does not abort. At 05:22 hours, the distance closes to 61 nautical miles. Carrier deck crews launch the second cap section. Catapult 1, Catapult 2, steam erupts. Super Hornets punch into the morning haze. The Lincoln's Island bristles with movement, signal lamps, radio calls, shouted deck corrections, the mechanical scream of launch bars snapping free. Below in combat, voices get shorter, cleaner, more dangerous, multiple raid tracks, 4 weapons quality, possible emitters on Keshim Island, standby shipboard engagement. At 05:23 hours, the first hard evidence appears. Infrared satellites and forward sensors catch brief underwing flashes from the F-4 element. 8 anti-ship missiles separate almost simultaneously. They drop, ignite, and level out barely above the waterline. Estimated type, Noor or Gator derivative. Range to strike group, 44 nautical miles. Impact window, under 4 minutes. Now the battlespace compresses. At 05:24 hours, the outer screen fires first. 2 SM-6 interceptors leap upward, pitch over, and drive down range with blistering speed. Seconds later, 4 SM-2 Block 3As follow, creating a layered wall in front of the incoming sea skimmers. Radar tracks dance across CIC displays, American weapons high and clean, Iranian missiles low and erratic inside electronic clutter. Impact in 52 seconds, then 41, then 33. At 05:25 hours, the SM-6s make contact. 2 direct kills, white flashes over black-blue water. The missile bodies disintegrate at 31 nautical miles. Fragments rain into the wake lanes between the escorts. The SM-2 salvo finds a third target and tears it apart. A 4th missile survives the near miss. Damaged, but still flying. Its guidance broken into a weaving terminal run. The fighters are still inbound. At 05:26 hours, Viper 2 closes with the remaining Tomcats. 1 AIM-9X launches inside visual range. The missile turns brutally and vaporizes the lead aircraft in a sphere of incandescent metal. The second Tomcat releases chaff and dives. Viper 1 guns the throttles, closes to 8 miles, and fires another AMRAAM. Direct hit. The sky flashes again. Across the eastern sector, the remaining MiG-29 tries to escape north. A screen ship tracks it anyway. A standard missile reaches up and erases it at altitude. At 05:27 hours, 5 anti-ship missiles remain in the basket. Range, 17 nautical miles. The escorts shift to evolved Sea Sparrow missiles. ESSM canisters spit flame in quick succession. 2 more intercepts, 1 clean midair disintegration, 1 violent deflection, missile tumbles, clips the surface, and cartwheels into the sea. 2 tracks remain solid, 1 damaged, 1 perfect. The formation's F-4 launch aircraft now turn away, but not fast enough. The second cap section enters the fight from the west. One Phantom is caught climbing, another is trying to hug the water. Both are engaged, both are hit. The first breaks in half, the second skids burning across the surface before vanishing behind a curtain of spray. At 05:28 hours, the tactical picture expands beneath the surface. Sonar operators aboard an escort detect a transient contact south of the formation, possible midget submarine movement attempting to exploit the chaos. An MH-60R Seahawk lifts from the carrier screen despite the missile battle still unfolding overhead. Its dipping sonar goes live as it races low over the chop. A second helicopter is armed with a Mark 54 torpedo and ordered to hold South Sector. The message is unmistakable. No domain will remain uncontested. At 05:29 hours, the surviving 2 missiles cross 10 nautical miles. The escorts open with every remaining layer. ESSM again, 1 intercept, 1 miss by less than 6 meters. The damaged Iranian missile detonates harmlessly in the water. The final track keeps coming. Hard, low, invisible between sea clutter returns until the computer resolves it cleanly at 4.8 nautical miles. Now only terminal defense remains. At 05:30 hours, Phalanx CIWS mounts begin to rotate. Their radars lock. The sound is immediate and monstrous. Thousands of 20mm rounds tear into the air. The stream walks across the missile's path. Sparks. Fragment loss. No kill. The weapon survives long enough to break through the final curtain. It strikes the starboard aft flight deck edge of USS Abraham Lincoln at a shallow angle and detonates outward. The carrier shudders, steel screams, deck plating buckles, antennas snap. A parked tow tractor flips like paper. Fuel mist ignites in a jagged orange sheet, then blows sideways across the deck with the wind. 3 sailors are thrown down hard by overpressure. 1 aircraft elevator jams halfway through its cycle. On internal circuits, reports arrive in fragments. Flight deck hit. Starboard aft sponson damage. Fire parties moving. No penetration to reactor spaces. Hangar integrity holding. At 05:31 hours, the sky erupts again. The last 2 Iranian fighters attempt desperate re-attack profiles. One tries to climb for a diving gun run. It never gets there. An FA-18E fires from 6 nautical miles. The target vanishes in a compact white flash. The final aircraft breaks east, shedding flares, running for the coast. A destroyer designates. Another Standard missile launches. 12 seconds later, the radar track disappears. 10 aircraft enter the battlespace. 10 aircraft are gone. At 05:32 hours, the deck fire intensifies around ruptured lines and burning debris. Crash and salvage teams advance directly into it. Purple K extinguishers, AFFF foam, thermal blankets. 1 sailor drags another clear of twisted deck equipment while a hose team cuts across the flame front. The carrier is wounded, but not disabled. Catapults 1 and 2 remain operational. The angled deck is scorched, but usable. Air boss control remains intact. At 05:33 hours, the counterstroke begins. 4 Super Hornets already armed for suppression are redirected toward the Iranian coast. Their target list uploads in seconds. Coastal radar at Bandar Abbas, missile batteries on Qeshm Island, hardened aircraft revetments at Tactical Air Base 9. 2 EA-18Gs lead the package. Electronic attack first. Blind the network. Break the kill chain. Behind them, a reserve strike pair is configured with AGM-65 Maverick missiles for fast attack on exposed radar vehicles and mobile launchers attempting to reposition inland. At 05:35 hours, the American strike package crosses the coastline. Growlers pour jamming into surveillance bands and fire control nets. Coastal radars fade, then die. Harm-class weapons follow the emissions. 1 site vanishes in a blossom of dust and sparks. Another tries to shut down. Too late. The missile homes on residual energy and tears the antenna farm from its concrete pad. At 05:37 hours, the first bombs hit the launch infrastructure. 2 hardened shelters at Bandar Abbas collapse inward. A missile support warehouse erupts in a vertical tower of flame visible from the shipping lanes. Qeshm Island batteries attempt a hurried displacement. Super Hornets dive lower. AGM-65 Mavericks streak toward transporter erector launchers caught on exposed road sections. Direct hits. Vehicles vaporized. Secondary detonations hammer the surrounding hillside. At 05:39 hours, the Seahawk in the southern sector prosecutes the submarine contact. Sonar classification sharpens, likely Ghadir-class midget submarine moving slow and shallow. The helicopter drops a sonar buoy pattern, then releases a Mark 54 torpedo. The weapon enters cleanly, acquires in seconds, and detonates beneath the contact. A plume of oil and shattered composite rises through the water. Another avenue of attack closes forever. At 05:41 hours, the deck aboard Lincoln is under control. Fires are localized. Medical teams report 3 seriously wounded, 11 with burns or blast trauma, none fatal. The ship maintains 28 knots. Flight operations resume in reduced cycle. The symbolism is almost as important as the tactical fact. The carrier is still launching combat power minutes after taking a hit. At 05:44 hours, rescue boats recover 2 Iranian pilots from burning slicks north of the engagement zone. 1 is alive. 1 is not. Nearby, debris fields mark the positions of 8 missile intercepts and 10 aircraft kills. The water is littered with fragments of wings, fins, panels, and scorched flotation gear. Smoke hangs flat across the shipping corridor. At 05:47 hours, exactly 30 minutes after the first radar spike, the regional command picture changes completely. Iran has lost 10 fighters, 8 anti-ship missiles, 1 coastal missile network, 1 submarine, 4 mobile launchers, 2 hardened aircraft shelters, and multiple radar nodes. The American side has 1 damaged carrier, 3 serious injuries, 11 minor casualties, and full retention of command, mobility, and strike capability. The numbers matter. They always matter. At 05:50 hours, silence begins to replace velocity. Fire control radars return to search mode. The frantic cadence of missile warnings drops away. Damage control teams keep cutting, cooling, sealing, checking. Aviation fuel samples are tested. Elevator hydraulics are isolated and rerouted. On the flag bridge, officers recalculate transit posture through the strait. Commercial shipping lanes remain open. No civilian tanker is struck. No escort breaks formation. At 05:55 hours, 38 minutes after initial contact, the first verified battle damage images from Bandar Abbas and Keshem reach senior command centers inland. Runways are cratered, radar sites are blackened skeletons, mobile launchers are burning frames. The attempted saturation strike has failed, and the retaliatory networked response has moved faster than the planners who triggered it. In Tehran, shock is no longer rhetorical. It is operational. 38 minutes after initial contact, silence settles over the damaged deck and the hot sea around it. Rescue swimmers continue their sweeps. Corpsmen stabilize the wounded in bright red-lit compartments below the island. Engineers inspect the starboard-aft impact zone frame by frame, measuring blast deformation, checking arresting gear conduits, tracing every heat scar. The final count is stark. No American dead, 3 critical wounded, 11 additional injuries, 1 carrier flight deck section temporarily degraded, combat effectiveness preserved. The rescue phase is disciplined and unsentimental. MH-60R crews hover over oil sheens and debris plumes, marking ejection points and logging wreckage fields. Escort ships recover missile fragments for technical exploitation. Electronic warfare specialists pull telemetry captures from the engagement, seeker behavior, data link frequencies, terminal guidance instability, jamming effectiveness. Even in the aftermath, the battle is still producing intelligence. Below decks, the crew hears the ship continue to move at speed. That sound matters. It confirms survival. It confirms continuity. Fires are out by 06:02 hours. The damaged elevator remains locked down. Temporary steel shoring is installed near the blast-scarred sponson. The flight deck remains scarred, blistered, blackened. It remains operational. The tactical lessons are immediate. In confined maritime terrain, compression punishes hesitation and rewards layered defense. 10 attacking aircraft, 8 anti-ship missiles, and a submarine queuing attempt should have forced paralysis through simultaneity. Instead, the American response demonstrates the value of integrated air defense across domains: airborne warning, fighter interception, shipboard missiles, close-in guns, anti-submarine aviation, and rapid retaliatory strike packaged into one uninterrupted kill chain. No layer is sufficient alone. Together, they are brutally resilient. Strategic ramifications cascade outward from that fact. Iran's concept of deterrence in the strait depends on ambiguity, density, and timing. Create too many threats, too close together, for any fleet commander to solve at once. This engagement shows the danger of that doctrine against a fully networked carrier strike group operating with intact airborne early warning and disciplined emissions control. The saturation model still imposes cost. USS Abraham Lincoln is hit, sailors are wounded, the symbolic threshold is crossed, yet the attacking force does not convert contact into operational success. The strait does not close. The carrier does not stop launching aircraft. The counterstrike lands before the smoke clears over the launch axis. Regional observers would draw their own conclusions with equal speed. Gulf states watching the battle would see how rapidly coastal infrastructure becomes vulnerable once missile batteries emit and remain fixed long enough for geolocation. Commercial insurers would study the time window between initial detection and restored shipping security. Naval staffs from the Mediterranean to the Indo-Pacific would dissect the battle sequence frame by frame. How the E-2D extended reaction time, how the Growlers degraded targeting confidence, how SM-6 and SM-2 shaped the outer fight, how ESSM and Phalanx CIWS carried the burden when geometry collapsed, how MH-60R Seahawks protected the undersea flank, even while the air battle peaked overhead. This engagement fundamentally reshaped the deterrence equation, not because it eliminated danger, but because it quantified endurance under direct strike. That is what modern naval power ultimately measures, not invulnerability, which does not exist, but the capacity to absorb contact, retain command, restore combat function, and impose costs faster than the adversary can escalate. In that sense, the hit on Abraham Lincoln becomes strategically self-defeating for the attacker. It proves American vulnerability at the margin. It proves American recovery and retaliation at the center. There would also be doctrinal consequences inside Iran's own military institutions. Mixed legacy aircraft, dispersed missile batteries, and opportunistic submarine support can still generate a lethal opening. But if coordination windows are narrow, data links brittle, and launch platforms exposed after release, the entire strike architecture becomes a one-use event. Once the first volley fails, the response cycle belongs to the side with persistent sensors, redundant shooters, and deeper magazines. 38 minutes is enough time to reveal that imbalance with merciless clarity. By 0610 hours, the smoke over the strait is thinning, but the signal is not. 10 fighters attack. 1 missile gets through. The carrier absorbs the blow, restores order, and answers across air, sea, and undersea domains before the first casualty report is finalized. The tactical violence lasts less than an hour. The message lasts much longer. The strait remains open not through negotiation, but through demonstrated capability.